My dog heard us go live. Started
Yeah,
barking immediately.
fanfare already. I like it. Uh, Happy Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Let's Build Profoundly. Today we get to introduce Danielle Urban. How you doing, Danielle?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Fantastic. It was a low key weekend since I um, no longer uh, invest myself in the Super Bowl thanks to HubSpot. And if it wasn't for Mr. Oaks posting something about it yesterday, I might have missed it altogether. But I heard you had some fun.
Yeah. Well, when you put we invited some friends over, and when you put four kids, 5 and under, in the same room, there's no focus on anything. So I think the puppy bowl got more eye time than anything else in this house.
That's still a thing, huh?
It is, and it's great for toddlers.
That's fair. That's fair. Today we get to talk about Danielle, though. Something I don't even think I've done on any of the shows we've done together. So this has been exciting for me, this series, as we get to peel back the curtain on who all these pros are and why they're pros and what they're doing, hanging out in HubSpot and LinkedIn all day, uh, and just helping people. Um, so we'll get right to it. What is your HubSpot expertise, and how did you get it?
I feel like it's almost a running joke now that I have no HubSpot certifications. like whenever someone starts talking about certifications, I'm like, what if you don't have any? And I had some at some point, but let them expire. Like I just don't care that much. But I started using HubSpot way back in 2013 ish. I joined a software company that had been acquired by HP, which was super fun because we basically had a blank check to run wild, and they let us keep our own HubSpot and our own website for a little while. So I learned a lot very quickly around attribution, operations, just like what does it take to make this run and prove that I did something as a 21, 22-year old fresh out of college. So I had a lot of fun there and I learned a lot. I was also on the phone with support every other day, trying to figure out what I did wrong, trying to understand how it worked. But truly, that laid the foundation of really understanding what the tool does and how it's grown over time. So I was at the Inbound with Martha Stewart. That was a good time. um, I think then I skipped a good chunk of inbounds in there, and then went back more recently. But I've had my hands in HubSpot for a very long time, and followed their growth and acquisitions over all those years. So I've definitely stayed on top of it and not on top of my certifications.
That's fair. That's fair. I think, especially now, as they move so fast, the platform, just sometimes getting in there and doing stuff is the best way to keep up, and especially more fun when you get to help clients like do stuff at the same time. No surprise that you mentioned attribution.
Always.
Uh, and I'm curious, like attribution then versus attribution now.
Ooh, it was a lot more straightforward back in the day, um, because we were only starting to say things like, 60% of the buyer's journey happens before they hit your website. Like that was still kind of the cutting edge concept. And we could all sort of operate under the impression that whatever interactions people had with our brand was their entire buyer's journey. And there were a lot less dark web channels than there are now. But obviously that's come out in the last, what, 5, 7 years. Thank you, Chris Walker. So
Maybe dark funnel might
dark
be
funnel.
a
Yes.
better
Yeah,
way to
not dark
say it.
web.
Yeah.
Sorry. Happy
Yeah.
Monday. Dark funnel. um, but yeah, I remember setting up a redirect for every form or um, UTM tagged uh, um, landing page that I had, because we didn't have a secure way of capturing UTMs, like a reliable way. And so instead of doing that and trying to capture them on the form and having any software to capture it, we would set up a redirect in WordPress so that we knew when they hit that redirect, it was that channel that we had paid for that then came around and converted on the form. I'm sure it destroyed some other web metrics, but at the time it worked pretty well for us.
Okay, so that's tagging stuff. Pretty straightforward back then. What's the approach now?
We talked about this, I think, in our last live stream together. Like, there are days where you're like, throw it all out the window, it doesn't matter. And then there are days where you're like, we can measure every minute move on our website and have them like click on this button when it turns red. Like, there are so many things that you can track, and there are so many things that you can't. And you have to kind of keep in mind that a lot of the things you can't track are probably the things that matter the most these days. So for as much that you can track, you have to understand that that's somewhere between, I'd guess, like 20 to 50% of your buyer's journey towards buying your product. And then the other 50 to 80% is coming from conversations that you will never be a part of. Like, you will never see or possibly even know that they're happening, because so much is based on referrals and personal recommendations.
Yeah, yeah. No, that definitely resonates. I often wonder how much time that is spent on just trying to track every little thing. Could be spent on creating some value instead, especially when it comes to LinkedIn. But even there, like the LinkedIn tools that you have access to in conjunction with HubSpot are just getting so good in terms
Yeah.
of actually giving way more visibility than ever before.
Yes, but don't get us started on LinkedIn video tracking metrics.
Yeah.
They're not good.
Yeah.
They're really not good.
Oh, they're not. Sacrifices are made to do some LinkedIn streaming, that's for sure.
Absolutely. But it's worth it. Like, personally, it always pays off. I just had someone connect with me last week who was like, I see your name everywhere. I feel like we should be connected. And like, it's probably just that I'm all over their LinkedIn feed because I comment on things or whatever, but it's definitely my face and my name has meaning when it shows up in your LinkedIn feed now because of all these videos that we can't track at all.
Yes. No, I 100% agree. And that's where the qualitative, like, if you can, wrap your head around it, like, there's lots of ways to, ask people to just put that in the CRM, like when people mention it or the how did you hear about us field. We're seeing a lot of traction there with the Profoundly, launch. So many
Awesome.
people naming people like you that posts that they're seeing, and they come inbound to be a pro or to sign up for the event or and like, is that are those kinds of strategies that you're usually helping people with? Or like, okay, where are the touch points, and do we even need to measure them? Or like, how are you approaching somebody who's dealing with this challenge?
It's one of many things, like, because you have to keep it in perspective, unlike you probably don't know and won't be able to know a lot about this. Let's look at what we can capture, what we can control, and what we can measure. Because I love to nerd out on numbers. Like, I want data on everything, but I've also accepted you can't get data on something. So let's take the data that we do have and try to make sense of it. And not to say that you should overanalyze that 20% and try to make business decisions on that 20%, but like, how can we look down funnel? How can we look up funnel? How can we structure things to get a measurement or a score or some data points that are a lot more relevant to driving your overall business goals, and not just hashing out like, if I spend $50 more here, will it turn into $200 next week? Like, that's so much harder to track. In some channels, obviously, it's very straightforward. And outside of the B2B world, that's way more true, because you've got all the like referral links and apps and things like that for consumer goods. But in B2B software, which is where I spend 98% of my time, the other 2% is buying things for myself. Then the B2B software side of it, like, I am always going to Slack communities or asking, my trusted circle of friends, what is the thing that you use for this? Is this software really worth it? Is like, what are you using to do this? How are you accomplishing this? And so that those conversations are happening because as much as you want to deny it, you're doing it yourself. So when you accept that and move past it, then we can start to look at the rest of the funnel. I've been talking about sort of a pipeline attribution score for a long time. A like marketing activity score is probably a better name for it, but like what happens when marketing assets are engaged with after an opportunity has been created. And I think I finally found a client that wants me to build it for them. They've been shopping it around. But it's true because like marketing does not start and end with the MQL. Like there's a whole pipeline to either side of that. So can we start to understand how and why that matters? Can we look at the influence that marketing has over the entire journey and the assets that they're producing and how those are distributed, rather than just putting everything behind a form and hoping people download it?
Yes. Oh man, that's so refreshing. And I look forward to seeing, what comes of that. I'm sure you'll be sharing.
Give me a
But
nod.
we could obviously talk about attribution forever. And we'll be touching on that at the end when we talk about the kickoff event. Um, but outside of HubSpot and helping people with data, who is Danielle?
These days, it's mostly just momming. I have two little kids. They're 5 and almost 3. And at that age, every little thing needs to be done for them. So that's pretty much all of my free time. Anytime I'm not working, they're usually home with me, which I'm very grateful that I have the flexibility. I've sort of built this world in HubSpot consulting, where I can build a schedule that has a lot of room for me to just spend time with them. So it's not, condensed to a couple hours at the end of the day when everyone's already tired. They are usually tired by the time they get home from school. So we just have 3 hours of being tired together instead of 1 or 2. But it is really great that last week my daughter was sick and I basically had to take the whole week off and work while she was sleeping. And I'm very grateful that that was so easy to do. So coming off of illness, I'm a little shell shocked, but we're all doing better now. But outside of that, I actually have a culinary certificate. I took like a
Oh,
little quarter life crisis moment and went to culinary school and then worked for them for a little while. And if anyone's in the Cambridge area, they just opened a cafe. Still love them. I can't wait to check out their cafe sometime in the next few weeks. Out in Porter Square, 𝗕𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗂𝗂. But that was really fun. And I try to keep that alive as much as I can. In some little life moments, I do a lot of cake decorating because that's the easiest thing to sort of carve out time for. Um, because then, my kids are grateful that I spent time on the thing instead of mad that I'm not paying attention to them. But lately, I've been getting into sourdough bread. My sister turned me onto it. So I've got a starter going and I've bought some fancy flowers to play with.
okay. So is baking like your go-to when it comes to culinary endeavors?
Yeah, my certificate was a mix of savory and sweet. But because my kids only ever want to eat mac and cheese, like nothing else really feels worth making unless we have some friends coming over or something. So occasionally I'll make a fun recipe and really have fun with it and tap back into that, flavor testing and process and all that. But it's my kids will always eat something sweet or bready, so we usually end up making that.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Um, you mentioned it's nice to have the flexibility of being on your own. How long have you been an individual consultant?
I started taking some side projects before my second daughter was born. So that was like fall, I think it was like November of 2021. Um, so like doing the math blows my mind every time because I'm like, oh, I've probably been at this like a year. I'm really lucky that it stuck, but I'm like, what is that? 4 years in now, 3.5 years in, which is crazy. Um, and from there, I went out on a 6-month maternity leave and kept some clients on through that time, and then was like, you know what, I have enough interest to really go at this for real. And of course, the cost of childcare always plays into that. So we were able to reduce my schedule to match a reduced schedule with our childcare. So the mathed out. And I was just off to the races from there. It was like, well, I can't fail now, because if our childcare falls apart, like someone needs to step up, and my husband carries our health insurance. So got to protect that. But it's kind of wild that I've been at it for this long. And then I can measure it against my daughter's age. That's kind of fun.
There you go. Any it's been an interesting 5-year period then.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the challenges that you like, I guess, is there anything that like you look back and you're like, yeah, I really did well there to make it through that challenge?
Yeah, I think any like freelancer influencer types that you follow will tell you the same thing, and it's niche down. But at the same time, as much as you want to get to that point, I think we all have to go through that stumbling period where you're like, I'm just going to do whatever I can find. One, because I have to pay my bills, but two, because I don't really know what I should do and I don't know what's valued in the marketplace. And until you really immerse yourself in that world and start talking to other people who are doing, similar things, you don't have a sense of what is valuable, what is needed. I love that our freelance community is so like giving and open. I do probably more networking than I should given my schedule, but I just love meeting new people and talking to people. And I have a vast network of consultants and freelancers and small business owners at this point. And it's so valuable to be able to turn around and say, like, hey, what are you working on? What are you doing? What are you seeing these days? And some people you can even say, what are you charging? And start comparing notes on that. But if I could, I would love to have shortcutted that process of like, hire me for anything at $75 an hour, and then come around to where I am now, which is like, this is my consulting package. This is how you work with me. This is what we're going to do together. And here's what we're going to accomplish. Like, I never could have done that 3 years ago, but I wish I could have gotten there faster.
That's a good wish for sure.
Yeah.
Could you have? I mean, there's a lot of
No.
learning in those conversations that turn out to be not good fits.
Yeah, I think I could have condensed the timeline if I was a little more willing to take risks and let people say no. Um, but I felt like I'm too good of a people pleaser. I wanted everyone to like me, so I wanted everyone to say yes and work with me. And that paid off in other ways. Like I had some really interesting projects. I learned a lot about what I don't want to do. And can now very clearly define, like, hey, I'm actually not a good fit for that, but here are 3 people who might be. And that's where I love, love, love having that network, because it's like a win-win-win. I get to keep my contacts warm. I get to make my client or my prospective client happy, and I get to send business to a friend who wants it and needs it. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, that's been such an interesting development as we were putting profoundly together, and even like before it was profoundly, and like the Let's Build group got together inside of Sprocketeer, just like that. Like, well, I'm sure it's gratifying uh, to know that you're capable of building your own network. It's a lift to always have to like do the work to like find get in touch with the person, like wherever they may be. And as soon as we started like grouping up together, and I learned a lot from you and from that perspective, if you already had done this, like hearing that over and over from individual consultants, just having that space to go to and say like, okay, I know there's going to be like-minded people,
Mm-hmm.
with similar expertise levels, but expertise all over the platform, because that's a huge
Right.
challenge right now. Uh, you know, even if somebody comes in wanting attribution, like they might have like a bunch of customer information coming in through Commerce Hub. And if you're not familiar with that and
Yeah.
how it might impact the rest of the platform,
Right.
all of a sudden it's not a fit, even though they really want to do the thing that you're good at. Um, So it's been good to see in the early days. It's already coming together inside of our community.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And even finding those to partner up with in those cases. Like I've subcontracted folks on different projects just because one, I need the help, but two, it's like I know that you're better at this than I am, so let's tackle it together because I know that it's going to go way better if we put our heads together and we can both deliver on something they're happy with. Whereas if I refer out or if I try to take it and fumble my way through, it's not going to go well.
yeah. And it's such a trust builder too, when you can step
Yeah.
back and say, look, I can help you with this, but not this other part, but I've got somebody right here that's real similar to me, but they know this part of the platform.
Right.
Customers really feel taken care of, and the trust level just goes through the roof.
Totally.
We're trying to put that on display on March 6th with the Profoundly Kickoff event. It's important to us to show like the breadth of kind of expertise in the ecosystem. We've got 8 tracks: HubSpot admin, integration developer, web developer, RevOps, marketer, AI, solopreneur, and founder. You're going to be presenting in the marketing track
Hmm.
on attribution, but I'm curious, outside of that, I'm sure it's going to be a busy day. So good luck to anybody presenting, getting to see anything else. Um, but what other tracks or talks are you looking forward to at the event?
All of them, obviously. If I could show up in every single one of those sessions and absorb the information, I would, and I will probably find a way. But I think I'm very interested in integrations, and what that kind of looks like. Uh, I love the sort of thinking behind it. Um, Someone just made a post. I'm forgetting his last name. He goes by 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗱 in 𝗕𝗂𝗁𝘁, but he just made a post recently about how to approach building your integration. And it was split between event based or user based. And I was like, I don't develop integrations, I use integrations. But seeing it broken down like that, like broke my brain. It was so cool. Like I didn't realize that people had to think through that decision making process and like orient their integration around that. And obviously it depends on the app that they're building the integration for, but it still was really fascinating to me how you have to think through that. And I have a lot of thoughts and feelings on what makes a good integration. So I'm very curious to learn about that. And then sort of the general admin side of things, I'm usually coming in as a partner admin on most of my accounts, and that has slightly restricted access. I'm always finding weird blocks in that access, but I'm not doing a lot of the like user onboarding and permission sets. Occasionally I am, but I know Matthew Ruxton just shared with me in, I think it was Sprocketeer, I was trying to figure out how to see who did not have their calendar connected in HubSpot. And he shared a workflow that he has to like babysit users. And I was like, I never would have thought to do that. So I would love to find more moments of those and just like soak it all in so that I can be the admin when I need to be.
Yeah, it's definitely admin heavy lean at the event, as one would expect. Um, and Lucy's leading that track, and she's going to have a couple of roundtable panels, which is
Amazing.
good because there's so much, and that's right after a panel about what is a HubSpot admin. And you can imagine if we have a session like that, uh, it's surprisingly spicy debate.
Yes.
And this is thanks to HubSpot, and they're giving us a great broad product.
Yeah.
Admin can mean a lot of different things now. Um, but you're gonna be doing something on attribution.
I know.
Any kind of sneak peek you can give us?
I believe I titled the session Attribution, Love to Hate It, Hate to Love It, because I hate attribution. Like, I'm going to put this out in the world. I actually hate attribution. I hate all that it stands for. I hate doing it. I hate pulling apart these little minute decision trees. Like, the data is interesting, but hate implementing it. But everybody wants it, everybody needs it, and the end data can be really interesting. So I love it. But I know a lot of folks are feeling the same way. And so trying to figure out, like we started talking about at the beginning of this live, like what is worth measuring? How do you know, understand how the measurable attribution fits into your entire buyer's journey? And like, what do you even make of it? How do you use this? Do you throw it all out the window on a Tuesday? Like, where does it land? So I'm excited to dive into that. And I have a very long outline that I need to cut like a good chunk of, because I want people to come ask questions. I want people to have opinions about it and talk back. So I will be cutting it down for that purpose.
Well, that's good to hear. Just like the rest of the platform, probably more so. I think don't go a day without seeing an attribution question
Yeah.
on LinkedIn right now. So really looking forward to that one. And that's like, it's what you're gonna get, from this event. Highlighting really the experts in the community that are going to give it to you straight, honestly. Like, we're all experiencing these challenges every day. HubSpot very rarely is 1, 2, 3 done. Building stuff in HubSpot is usually the easy part. Like, it's the getting your whole team on board with what the hell an MQL is, and why it's important or why it's not important, what the scores look like. I was talking with 𝗕𝗂𝗁𝘂𝗶𝗹𝘆 this morning on the morning show, highlighting the new ability to see large quantities of what the scores will look like now, so that you can evaluate it before you take it live.
That's very
Super important. It's attribution does a lot to an organization. So thank you for powering through your
Oh, you're
hatred of
so
it,
welcome. You're so
so
welcome.
that you can help others and yourself love it. Because the outcome, man, when you do it right, the kind of insights you get, I mean, it's just like it helps to see numbers and be like, yeah, it's working, right?
Yes,
Like, sometimes
totally.
that's all you need.
Yeah,
um,
we all need that.
yes. So we're really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, sharing a little bit more about your story. Uh, and if you're out there watching this and you want to be a pro just like Danielle, head over to profound.ly, click on the Give HubSpot Help button, and you can sign up to be a profoundly certified pro.
Come join us. We're
And you can
fun.
also, go there and sign up for the event, March 6th. It's going to be 2.5 hours, 3 hours event, 8 tracks, 2 sessions per track, lots of sessions in between. It's going to be a good time. So check it out. And again, Danielle, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great day, everybody.